magical duo Lana Parrilla and Rebecca Mader.
Hello, Heroes Comic-Con Belgium, and welcome, Rebecca Mader. We're so glad to have you with us.
Thank you for having me. Hello, Belgium!
Now, we're in this place surrounded by people who are fans, who love shows, artists. Have you ever been a fangirl? Who have you put a poster
I am a fangirl.
Tell us.
I watch a lot of television. TV is my most favourite thing. I have no hobbies. I don't read books, I don't do anything. I have watched TV my whole life and I am a massive fangirl of TV. I love telly.
And as a girl, did you have like posters on your wall? Did you ever dress up as someone in a conference? How far did you go at the fan level?
I didn't even know about conventions as a kid. Maybe they weren't very big in England back then. I didn't even know what conventions were, but if they had been around in the 80s in England, I absolutely would have gone, yeah.
So you were on a show. We've seen a clip just before, and we're going to play that game where we respect the SAG-AFTRA rules. Yes. But we're all going to play that game, and so, as you know, I'm going to ask questions for a few minutes, and then we'll move to you. But so, about that show...
How do we do it? Good luck, everyone. Got our seatbelts on.
We know that on that show... let's get going.
That's better.
Good. And we know that you get along great with several actors. I wonder, how do you deal with an acting job when it's difficult to get along with the people around you? Like, what's your net when you don't feel the vibe on a set?
I've been very lucky in most of the shows I've been on where there has been good vibes. And I had that experience when I was on a show on an island that was shot in Hawaii and people weren't found. This is hard, isn't it? And I walked onto that and it was as if I had been there all along, you know, and I just was able to kind of insert myself into that show and just really enjoy it. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that before I was an actress, I used to be a model, which I hated, but every time I would go and do a job, I was walking into a new studio with a different photographer, a different hair and makeup artist from the age of 16. So I had to learn. It really improved my confidence because I was shy, if you can believe it, when I was younger. But it really, I had to sort of learn how to walk into a new group of people and go, hiya, and have a great day. So I couldn't, I don't know, it just made me more confident in new situations. So I was able to just sort of walk in and just play along, and everyone was really, really welcoming. And then the same was true for Once Upon a Time, because they're actually quite similar experiences in that they were both pre-existing hits before I joined, right? But no, I haven't had, the only thing I hate, like if the vibe is weird on set, which has happened, is just typically if an actor is, you know, stuck up their own arse and has a massive ego, and it creates a really fucking uncomfortable vibe for everybody, and it does happen. And I just distance myself. I'm like, no, I feel incredibly blessed to have a job, and I'm going to have a great day, so I'm just going to choose to distance myself and not let your vibe mess up my vibe, because I'm happy to be here, you know?
And we're happy to have you with us.
Yeah!
And you've done many formats in acting, and I know that personally, I would love to see you more in sitcoms. Can you tell me about your love of sitcoms? You just mentioned that you love TV. Yeah, what are your thoughts about sitcoms, and would you love to do more?
Yes, I definitely want to do more comedy. It's harder to do in that there's just lesser made. Do you know what I mean? So there's more dramas on TV, so there's less opportunities to do a comedy. But I've done a couple, but then they got cancelled for different political reasons. But that is a massive dream of mine, is to do comedy, because I'm an idiot in real life. I'm not a serious person. I'm like, fiddly-dee-dee, I'm just a massive dickhead. So I'm always like really serious, intense people, and that's not who I am, which is fun because I'm acting. But I also want to do, I mean, my favourite thing is making people laugh. And to be able to do that for a living is a dream for me. So that is on my bucket list, is to do a sitcom for sure.
And what makes you laugh? What are you a fan of when you want to have a good laugh?
I think when people just take the piss out of themselves and don't take themselves seriously. Like, life is so short. If you can't make fun, it's also very British, isn't it? Just, in England, if you can say, nice shirt, that means, I like you, let's have a beer later. if you can immediately just take the piss out of someone, and Americans aren't as good at that, so I had to sort of adjust to that when I first moved to America. But I think just not taking yourself seriously and making fun of our differences, rather than being all precious about them, is really funny, because we're all different and we're all weird in different ways, and let's embrace it. It's funny.
Do you feel very much like a Brit in the US?
Oh yes. Yeah, very much so, yes. I do not, I'm not American. No. I'm English! I'm proud.
Yes, Tom Ellis, yeah.
Yeah, come on,
Because Tom Ellis yesterday was saying that, yeah, the banter is different,
Yes.
maybe non-existent over there, and you said, like, maybe the Canadians are the bridge between us and the US, and that confuses Americans. Like, how confused do you get Americans by just being yourself?
There's nothing more unattractive when I say something funny and an American goes, what? I'm like, ah, man, I'm gonna go home.
So we're talking about comedy. Have you ever felt like the roles that you're getting are just one side? Like, have you ever felt typecast, or did you have to struggle with that?
Yeah, well, yeah, I typically play, even when I was in my 20s, I'd have these auditions, like, in walks Claire, the smartest woman in the room. I'm like, oh shit. That's going to be really hard dialogue to learn, you know, like, I'm a lawyer and I'm a doctor and I'm serious and I'm clever, and I'm like, oh, can't I say something easy? You know, I never got to be that person, so I often play the bitch, the psycho, the villain, you know, which I do love playing a villain, don't get me wrong, but it's not like I don't play like the hero, like the sweet girl. It's just never been my thing, which is weird because I'm a delight in real life. And humble. The best quality.
But then would you say you would avoid certain roles, like if you were supposed to be a very nice princess that never steps out of the line, is that something that you
I've
actually
not
get away
avoided them, I've just never been offered them. I mean, they just don't, I think because, especially in America, I think villains are often either Russian or British. You know, like in Bollywood, like, I've come to kill you all. They're like, I think that's one of the reasons, and I think just the way that I look, I think as well. I don't know, maybe I look like a bitch, I don't know. Why?
We do love ourselves some bitches, so if that's the case, wonderful. But you mentioned earlier that you hated being a model, but I wonder, as an actress, are there stuff that you learned back then that you're still using today?
I would say what I said before in just terms of like being able to be on a show and be comfortable, and also knowing light and camera and things like that, you know, but other than that, not really. It's useful when you have to do a photo shoot for the show and they start telling me how to pose. I'm like, I'm fine, thank you. Shush, and turn the music up. Shut up.
Also, since we're talking about body image, it feels in those environments here, like Heroes Coming from Belgium, that it's not such a problem for female actresses that they have to conform, thank you, within a box. It's more open. Would you say that extends to your fan base, that they're open-minded in a way? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's easier. There's less obsession about being skinny in Hollywood. It's definitely there. It's obviously way worse in modeling. You know, it's gross, and there's no union or anybody to protect models. And you know, when I was a model, I was told so many times to lose weight, or they would weigh me, make me stand on a scale and go, oh dear. I mean, you know, 18, 19, like what that does to you, it's so damaging. It's a really, really toxic industry, and I was incredibly grateful that acting kind of got me out of that business. But there is still pressure to look a certain way and be thinner. It's getting better, definitely, but there's still a lot more work to be done. But you know, I think, you know, when you see an actress on a red carpet, what they call in America sample sizes, it's a size 2 in the States, which is really tiny. And so if you see actresses that have borrowed a dress from a designer to then go onto the red carpet, they're really, really tiny, and anyone that isn't really thin has to get it specially made, and that they're like, oh dear, we'll just specially make it for you, and then there's shame around it. So it's not where it needs to be by any means. There's still a lot of work to be done, for sure.
You just said the word protection. Do you feel like you've had to consciously build a protection system around you for work?
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, it's just constant rejection and criticism. I don't even know how I'm still here. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look back at it, and I want to go back to like 22-year-old me and give me a hug. But the fact that it all was around me and it was coming at me, it's like abusive when you think about it. And I just was able somehow to say, I'm not going to participate in that. I'm an actor and I want to focus on that and it not be about what I look like. And I think, especially since I've had kids, I really don't give a shit anymore. This is who I am, this is what I look like, and if you don't want to hire me, whatever, I'm going to go home and hang out with my kids and eat some Belgian truffles. So, see you later.
Have you heard any?
You should see the green room. My box is like this. I can't wait to take it home. I'm so excited.
And you mentioned a hug to your 20-year-old self. Do you feel like when you meet younger actors and actresses that you want to give them advice, or is that something that people come to you for? Because you seem pretty like chilled out, so I'd love to receive advice from someone like you in my field, you know?
Yeah.
Does that happen?
Oh my god, I love helping people. I love listening to people. I love giving advice. I like to receive it from other people. I love being around younger actors and younger actresses, and if they want help and advice, absolutely. And I love helping people that are coming up, or you know, speaking about my experiences, and if that helps them, like that's really meaningful to me, and it makes the horrible things that have happened to me along the way, yes, there's been blessings and it's all been great, but for me to take the shit bits and turn it into protecting it from happening to somebody else, then it's like, then you know, it's something good has come out of something that was painful. I can turn it into something good and protect certain things from happening to somebody else. I love that.
Have you had not a mentor, but have you had some people you worked with where you felt like, huh, that's something that's going to stick within my head?
Not from an actor, from a casting director. I remember once I was doing an audition and she went, "Are you listening to me?" And I went, "What?" Right? And she's like, "No, are you listening to what I'm saying in the scene?" And I realized I wasn't. And that changed my entire career. In that moment, she's like, "I don't feel like you're listening to me." She's like, "Don't tell your agent, go home and come back tomorrow. I don't give a shit if you know the words or not. I want you to come back tomorrow and all I want you to do is just listen to me." And I went back and I really listened to her and I got the part. And my agent didn't even know that whole thing went down, but that was really moving that she gave me that opportunity. But in that moment, I really, really realized that the most interesting thing about an actor is when they're listening. And when I work with actors now that aren't listening to what I'm saying, they're going, "What's my next line? What's my next line?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, you're not listening." And that's not interesting to watch. Because if you notice when you watch a TV show, the editor typically doesn't cut to the person saying the lines. It cuts to the person receiving the lines. That's where the magic is. You know, because then you as the audience, they're feeling what you're feeling, receiving the information. And it was that woman that said that to me that really made that stick with me.
Well, thank you, wherever you are. And so you just mentioned behind-the-scenes ability to read a show that you receive. Like when you watch TV, because you watch TV a lot, you've said it. Is it like annoying to see what's happening behind? To imagine, maybe I know why they cut there. Like, do you still get like as much pleasure now that you know what happens behind the scene?
Yes. There are some shows where maybe they're not done very well, where I'm like, oh dear, because intellectually I can critique it and I can see the mistakes. You know, even if it's a mistake with continuity, with hair and makeup, with something, I know why it's not working. But if it's a really, really good show, I'm still able to just kind of surrender and just get lost in it just like everybody else, even though I know what's going on. There are some moments where I look at a scene in a show, because every time you see an actor in the scene, every single person is standing on a piece of tape. And I don't know if people know that, we're all standing on a bit of tape. Like, how ridiculous is that? Do you know what I mean? And once upon a time, Lana's was like a purpley red and mine was green. So as you're walking along, you have to be cognizant of where your tape is, because that's where you have to land. And if you don't stop there, you'll be out of focus and then you have to start all over again, which is annoying because you're trying to make the day. So, yeah, that was really fun.
Since you mentioned continuity, we know that you've also written. Haven't you written a screenplay? That's what I read online. No, okay, well then, if you had to write a story, would that be something that interests you? Yeah. I mean, I like writing, but I mean, I prefer acting more. People say, "Would you want to be a writer? Would you want to be a director?" And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm happier staying in my lane. I'm an actor. I could write something, but it's not going to be amazing. I'd rather just leave that to the people. That's what they do. I'm going to do what I do. And do you find it easy to like read a script and say, okay, this is the bomb? Like, do you have that instinct, or Do you find it difficult?
Yeah, I know within like the first 10 pages, and I don't look at it as like I'm an actor and I'm being critical. I read a script as if I'm a fan watching TV, and if I'm looking at my phone or checking my email, that's how I know if I like TV or not. If I have not looked at my phone throughout the entire episode, I'm in. You know, because so much of us now, like we're half watching a show, half on Instagram, half on TikTok. Wait, what happened? And we're doing two things at the same time. So when I'm reading a script, if I haven't checked I can tell if I'm getting sucked in. I'm like, okay, this is something I want to put my hat in the ring for. But if I'm like, I'm just like pass and say no thanks.
You just mentioned social media. Is that a fun part of is it a part of the job, or is it something you're like, do you like it? What's your relation?
I love social media. I mean, I love social media more in terms of how it connects me with all of you lot, because then I get to stay in touch with a lot of people, and I have relationships with a lot of the fans throughout all these years from doing conventions, and social media has allowed me to go, oh my god, she graduated, oh my god, so-and-so's pregnant, and I wouldn't know otherwise. And I feel like for me, I see it more as like a community, as opposed to, I'm going to promote my show. Like, I don't really give a shit about that stuff. It's more about the people aspect of it and how it, you know, it connects us. That's cool.
Good. And I also wonder, I feel like we should talk about the strike. No, yeah, should we? Yeah, we should.
Yeah, why not?
So, has it been, like, how has your professional life changed ever since it started, like your daily life?
Well, it's just like another pandemic, really, just without face masks. I mean, the industry is closed, so it feels like COVID all over again. And it's tough because the industry was just starting to recover, and then it's like this massive setback, and it's a bummer. But we have to, because we're getting screwed massively, and it's like they're bullies. So if you don't stick up for your rights, then what? What kind of example am I setting to my kids if I'm like, yeah, we just rolled over and we allowed them to just kind of keep all the money for themselves? I'm like, I'm doing this because you got to stick up for yourself and fight for your rights, you know?
And
yeah!
Also, so are there stuff about the strike that you feel like we should understand? Because it is difficult to understand every bit of the conversation, and we get some other information from the other side. Like, do you feel like there's some stuff that people should know about it?
One of the main reasons we're striking is because the medium of television has changed so much, and it's gone from normal, you know, network television to streaming. And it's really the streamers that the union is fighting against, because they're not paying us fairly. They're doing everything for a lot less. And it's almost like Hollywood has been bought by tech companies, you know, and they're all just like Pac-Man, just buying each other. And so-and-so's buying so-and-so, and this network's buying that network, and then we're going to rename it. It's called, the app is called this, now the app is called that. It's exhausting. But in the interim, you know, we're losing, the deals aren't the same. So like, when Once Upon a Time was put on Netflix, nobody made any money except for like one old rich white guy. And then when it moved to Disney Plus, none of us made any money. The people that wrote it, directed it, are in it. It was just this one, it's like the same sort of 8 old men that just go, and it's like an 80s cartoon, and there's these like villains just taking it all, and it's like, that's just not acceptable.
But, so there's also kind of an opportunity in that drama, in that very difficult situation, to think about the future of the industry. What would you change about the industry besides getting fair pay, obviously? Are there stuff that you feel like, I would like to see that in the future, and I haven't seen it yet?
Equal pay between men and women? I mean, fuck. What's that about? It's so old-fashioned. I'm like, since the 50s. I've been on shows before, and you're not supposed to know how much money other actors are making. I mean, to talk about money is incredibly gauche. So sometimes I've been on a show, and then someone said to me, did you know how much so-and-so's making? Like a bloke on a guy on the show. You're like, what? And it's like double what you're making, and your character might be in the episode even more. And it's just not fair. Like, why, if you have a penis, do you make more money? When we're waking the same hours, it's just bizarre. Equal pay.
Yes, absolutely. Now, I'm going to turn to the audience, and I'm getting a message that I don't really get. But maybe, yes, we should just do that thing.
Finally, the moment I was hoping would come.
Thank you. Well, we were talking yesterday with Lana about doing other stuff than acting. She's done charity, she has a clothing line as well. Are there stuff that you feel very curious about, or very enthusiastic about, that you'd like to explore?
I really want to be a TV presenter. Yeah, I want to be you. I love hosting, so I'd like to do some reality TV where I get to be myself. That's kind of like my next idea.
Do you watch reality TV as well?
Yes! I am not a snob. I watch everything. I really do. I have no shame.
What kind of fields of reality? Because there are so many. There's kitchens, there's like drag shows. Like, what are the ones that you're attracted
Love
to?
drag. I like all the. There's loads of shows in the States about the boat shows, like the Below Deck. All like the dating shit, like Love is Blind, Married at First Sight. Then I watch Married at First Sight, US, UK, Australia. Like with my chocolate, I can't get enough of it. I watch the Kardashians. What's wrong with me? I watch everything. My husband's like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I don't know, babe, but it's what you married." So can't leave me now. I've got 2 kids, so whatever. Also, don't eat my chocolates.
Well, if they're well known, that's what you're just a little. Also, I wonder. So we're in this convention. When you discovered this place, you mentioned how surprising it was, and how, as a kid, you didn't know about conventions, maybe Star Trek conventions back in the UK at the time. But what is it that you take home when you leave such an event?
Mostly chocolate.
Everywhere, really?
No, seriously, mostly love. You know, you walk away from this, and I on the plane home, I think about the moments that I had when people said something really moving, or I've said something that impacted them. I mean, it's just the love flows into you guys and back into me, and it's just really moving and healing, and it really, really means a lot to me. That's my favorite thing about the conventions, is the love that you guys share with us for the show and for us personally. I love it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So we're going to welcome Lana on stage now. So please, yes, let's all stand up. Lana Parrilla, please. Let's welcome her like we should. Hi, Lana.
I'm alive. I survived. Thank you guys. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for coming.
I didn't want to interrupt. It was so nice watching you.
Love you.
So, hi. Since I have the both of you on the same couch, I want to know, like, how was your encounter? Like, did you instantly know you would become besties?
It was a slow burn, which is weird now, because now we're like stuck to each other. But it was a slow burn in the beginning, and then I think, did we fall in love in Paris?
Fell in love in Brazil.
Brazil! Oh yeah, we did
fell in love in Brazil.
That's right.
That should be the name of your book if you write one.
We fell in love in Brazil.
I would read that.
I'm sure a lot of people would love that. We fell in love in, what year was that?
In Rio, like 2015, 2016, I think. Yeah.
Because you came on 2013.
Yeah, but we started doing Once Upon a Time conventions in 2014. And then I think it was 15.
But we
or
met
16.
before that.
Yeah, we met in
actually
2011.
We met in 2011 when both of our pilot shows were screening at a mutual friend's home, and that was the first time we met. And I had no idea that she was going to play my sister, let alone become my best friend then. But we've grown. You know, yesterday we went for dinner and we were talking about how many countries we've been to together. And she's like, one of my favorite traveling buddies in the world.
We've seen the world
We've
together.
seen the world together, and we have, you know, many more trips in our future, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
we do.
But no, it's a blessing in the industry when you can connect with women as another woman and find such camaraderie, and trust and loyalty, and you know, we have a real bond outside of that series.
We feel it, and it's so nice to hear. So about sisterhood, I mean, it's something that you keep talking about. Has it changed a lot in the past few years for women in Hollywood?
Has what changed?
Well, people talk about sisterhood, about bonding together, about sticking up for each other. Yes. And you have this strong bond, like, does it go beyond just, oh, I have this best friend? Do you feel like, okay, I'm gonna stick out for my girls out there?
I mean, I think that's how I am anyway. Like, and I think both of us are, you know, we're a girl's girl. So
we take our female relationships very seriously, and I think that's one of the blessings about getting older, is you realize, you know, obviously, you know, as you get older, you start losing your real family. You realize that your friends become your chosen family, and that you realize we're gonna be together forever at this point, and that's really cool. Like, family is important and it's lovely, but chosen family, to be in that relationship that feels familial as a choice, is really special.
You know, I have more in common with Bex than I do a lot of my family members. Like, we have a lot more in common. We've also shared so much death and, you know, experiences together that we'll never get to experience with our families. It's crazy like that. And we've spent more time together than we have with our families, because when we were on set, it was like 16, 17-hour days, you know, and you can't help but bond. And so we're really grateful to have each other.
No, we can feel it. We're going to open the floor to questions from the audience. So this is the way it's going to happen. There are volunteers in the room. They have orange t-shirts. You're going to raise your hand if you want to ask a question to Lana or Rebecca or both. They're going to come to you with a mic. Once you have a mic in your hand, you will be allowed to ask your question. As we said before, we're going to try and not ask questions about shows, about characters, but rather go beyond that line. If a question feels like, we shouldn't go there, then we're going to smile, but we're going to move to the next one. So do we have a mic in one hand already? Generally there's a volunteer waving at me and telling, this is where it happens now. Okay, yes, so, good. It's not working. So how are we, yeah, should we?
Is it on?
It is on, but yeah, people can hear. Could you pass it along to someone? So, one more minute and we're gonna get our first question. What's the craziest question anyone has ever asked you in such a conference?
What's my favorite color? I mean, that's a really crazy question.
Well, I had this little girl ask me in Chicago years ago. She was so cute. She must have been like 10. And she came up to the microphone and she went, if you were going to be murdered, how would you like to go? And I'm like, security! What? Are you plotting my murder? That was the most terrifying question I've ever been asked. If you were going to be murdered. Like, how dark was that? She was like 10.
Well, she's got a bright future, I'm sure. We have a question over here. Please speak very closely to the mic. We want to hear you.
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm very nervous. I just really wanted to tell you guys that I really love you, and both of you came into my life in a moment where I really needed it. I had lost myself a lot of times in that period, and you guys helped me through it. And my question is really weird, but if you had to be a cat, what color cat would you be?
Ginger, hello. I'd be a ginger tabby.
I'd be a leopard. Meow! My favorite pattern.
Okay, so we're definitely putting that in the top 5 of the crazy questions, for sure. Thank you for that. I think we have a new question just in front of us. Yes.
Okay.
Speak loudly.
Okay, I'm nervous and I'm French, so my English is a little
Take your
bad.
time, take your time.
So what did you do when you're in bad moods? Like,
Sorry, we didn't really catch that.
Where are you?
I'm in. It's okay, it's okay.
If you want to ask your question in Flemish or French and for me to translate it, that's fine.
I just, what did you do when you're in bad moods? Like you won't say.
What do we do when we're in a bad mood?
Yes, you won't
I
say.
don't call anyone. I don't, because then I'll be in a bad mood with everybody, but I go for hikes, that's what I do. I go
You
for
need
hikes.
to get out of the bad mood, right? How to cheer yourself up.
Kiss Lola and leave.
Music is always good, getting outside, going for a walk. But I'm the opposite, you say it on what? I immediately call somebody. Sometimes I need to kind of get it out of my body, and sharing it with you or my sister or one of my best friends helps it move through my body and get it out of me, and helps my brain kind of really look at it and the reality of the situation. Why am I freaking out? Why am I unhappy? Why am I anxious? So to me, I always reach out to a girlfriend if I'm in a bad mood.
Thank you.
That's great advice too.
Call me next time.
I'm like, I'm just gonna go for a walk with the dogs and look at the trees.
You said you like music, but do you like to sing your music? Can you? Can you
Would you
sing
feel
your
comfortable
song?
singing music? Is that the question?
Can you sing your song?
No, I am very. For those who have probably noticed, I have not been feeling great. I've been very sick to my stomach, so singing is probably not going to be what I do next.
We don't want to risk it.
It'll be like,
Let's all
it's not going to
imagine.
be a pretty song.
Where will our next question be? It's over here, just on the first line.
Hi. So obviously you're both hilarious, and you once said when you did a panel together that you find yourselves being together hilarious. And
We're hilarious.
We're the funniest ever.
That's so humble.
No, we are. We're
Yeah.
funny.
so, exactly. So I just wanted to say that I saw that moment and I was like, ooh, I want to have that for myself. Like, I want to look at myself like I'm hilarious. And so it took a couple of years, very hard years, but now I'm finally able to look at myself and be like, oh my god, I'm hilarious. So thanks for that. And also I have a little gift for you. It's like the Belgian version of the Dutch stroopwafels. It's like something to eat, but it's like waffles with honey in the middle. It's really good.
Maybe
I'll
next.
take it.
I can't look at food right now.
I'll take it.
Rebecca was having breakfast next to me and she's like, do you want some toast? Do you want some? I was like, well, no.
Eating eggs, baked beans, sausage. Oh,
I love all that stuff, don't get me wrong. Just right now,
It's been a day.
I can only do this.
Oh, I love that shop, Carrefour. I love that shop. I was in there last night.
But thank you. Maybe I'll eat it tomorrow.
Thank you. You're hilarious.
Yes, you are.
I hope you find your best.
We want to see that sitcom, the two
I
of
have
you.
to say,
know, we need
I
to
have
do
to
a
say, I
version.
haven't been feeling well, and all I wanted was her to hold me. But she was holding all of you, which is okay.
Where will our next question be? It's over there, a bit further this time. Please
Yes,
talk to
hi,
us.
good evening and good afternoon. This question's for Rebecca.
Hello.
And
Where are you? Put your hand up. Back to me. My favourite
Right
topic.
over here. Follow the spotlight.
Where?
Hi, sir.
Where?
Here I am.
Oh, hello, darling. Sorry.
So this question's for Rebecca, and I have to apologise to Lana because it's food related. But since you're British, I imagine you love a curry now and again.
Hey!
There you go. So whenever you're in the States, do you miss curries or can you get them
I eat curry a lot. It's hard to find a good cuzzer. In England, whenever I'm home, I always call it having an English. And when I got to England on Thursday, the first thing I did was order an English. But I do eat curry a lot in America. I found one good chicken tikka masala, one. And so when I find it, it's like pre-made, and I'll buy like 10 and ram them in the freezer in my garage. So when I'm really homesick, I pop that in, get a pint, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt.
Excellent.
But hey, come on England.
Next question.
By the way, I like curry
Yes.
too. Just saying. I do like curry.
Almost British.
Almost British.
Well, you mentioned yesterday your love of Europe. It starts with Britain. Okay, next question, just in front of us over there.
Hi, I am Camille and I love to do acting myself, but sometimes I get kind of scared to audition because the idea of just not being good enough frightens me a little, so I wanted to ask you all about your auditioning experience and just some general tips for me.
Auditions kind of changed a little bit, but I don't know what they're like here. But audition process, I love the audition process actually. I think it's so fun because it's an opportunity to act, and I love acting. So for me, auditioning is awesome. And you get to show something to people that have written something either great or not so great, but you can always make it better if it's not great, and if it is great, you can just fly. But one of the things that I really miss about the audition process and what it used to be like is working with directors and producers and casting directors in the room, and now everything is self-tape. And it's a different, I think it's one of the rules that we're fighting for in our union is that we want, yeah, back in person.
We're still doing like Zooms like it's 2020 and we're over it.
Like imagine if you guys were watching Bex and I right now, AI versions of us.
Yeah.
Everything would be like pre-written. There would be no spontaneity. There would be no me leaning into her. There would be no like silly questions about whatever curry and, you know, like what cat do you want to be? Like everything would be pre-programmed, and it just doesn't. You know, that's kind of like being in person is just it's so human.
But if you're getting nervous for auditions, I can totally relate. Because when I was young and cute like you, I'm fine. Anxiety is real, you know. You might like learn it at home and feel really good about it, and then you get to the audition or you're about to do it, and then the nerves kick in. So I would really try and find your own way of how to combat that and research ways to calm down. Whether it can be a breathing exercise, you can learn those types of techniques in an acting class or with an acting coach, of different ways of like using your breath, losing your mind to kind of bring it down and get into the character and step outside of yourself and your nerves, because you're being somebody else, and that person in that scene is probably not nervous. So I would really focus on looking at different ways of techniques to calm down, like learning to meditate and things like that. I sometimes, when I used to get really nervous at auditions, I would imagine roots coming out of the soles of my feet into the ground to make me feel grounded, and the nerves would fall down my legs, and I was able to be in the scene. So I would really look at that and look at someone that can help you learn how to do those things, and then you can just be about the character and acting as opposed to managing your nerves on top of it, you know?
And those things that she's talking about are known as relaxation exercises. Yeah. So if you were to Google relaxation exercises for acting, you'll find a lot of examples.
Go on YouTube and look it up.
Well, unfortunately, that was our last question, but thank you, Rebecca Mader. Thank you, Lana Parrilla, for being here with us. We love you.